Hey, okay, so next thing we're looking at after we've looked at the basic examples is we're going to start from the beginning. Base maps, setting up the base map. So the first thing that we saw in the examples, where are they over here, from Leaflet was right up at the top. There was the L map thing, and we set the center of the map, the coordinates, and the zoom level, which you'll just get used to seeing the zoom levels. Next was the tile layer. This is the base map. This is the tiling thing that we talked about before. And this generally is going to be providing some kind of raster like background for your map, essentially. So like we talked about before in the section about tiling, this is kind of where you specify it. So we're going to go over a few different examples of how to add these. There's actually lots of ways to do it depending on the library that you're using and your source for it, but I'm going to give you some ways to kind of be able to pick between a few different base maps depending on what you're doing. So for example, Google Maps will always use the Google base map. You can't do this kind of thing where you enter your own base map when it comes to Google. You are stuck using Google, but with Google you can do snazzy maps, which allows you to style the base map. So basically, you have the basic Google look, but then, and the basic Google information, but you can style it using different kind of colors and stuff like that. So that's a good suggestion if you're using Google, but you want to have it kind of look your own. But you can't do this fully customized type thing that we're going to be doing with Leaflet and MapLibra, and to some degree with Mapbox, although it's kind of restricted now. So there's a lot of services. This isn't something that's just always free online. As you can imagine, it's hosting a lot of different images, and it's a lot of like grabbing the images. And so it costs money for most of these, for all of these services. It costs them money to host all these tiles and let you just call them for your map whenever. That being said, there are quite a few free services, but there's also a lot that aren't free that are worth checking out. I would recommend one being MapTiler. MapTiler is a pretty good, oh, we're in some weird thing here in Google. Okay, over to MapTiler. This is a thing you can sign up for. It's kind of associated with MapLibra. Like the thing that they use here by default in MapLibra is a map. Actually, it's just at MapLibra. Hold on. One other one that they have somewhere, probably these are going to be MapTiler right there. They add a MapTiler base map. So MapTiler is a good one. There's also Stadia, S-T-A-D-A-I, Stadia. And there's actually a lot. There's a lot of these kind of services out there. So yeah, you can't always customize these, like changing the fonts and things like that. Mapbox is a service where you can kind of build your own base map, style it up to look special, like if you want it to look old-timey, or if you want the, like the text to be a certain color and stuff like that. You can really do that inside something like Mapbox. And once you get more advanced, you can do it in stuff like MapLibra. But let's go back to the basics here. So there are these free tile sets. And this website, this Leaflet providers, you can Google Leaflet providers, or I'll try to put the link along with this, has a whole bunch on the right-hand side that are generally free. Some of them do require API keys. So here we literally have it's showing us this Leaflet way to add it. So just like we saw in Leaflet, this thing is literally built to help us put it into Leaflet. And there's all these different styles. Now, for instance, this one, Stadia Maps, it looks like it's all good. It's just open and free, but we're going to run into some a little further down that I think require API keys. Yes, access tokens here. So for this, you have to sign up at this website, whatever it is, and get some kind of access token in order to use their tile set. But other ones are just free. This one is also needs an API key. It's kind of a hilarious map, honestly. But this one from Open Topo Map doesn't. So this is really worth looking through if you just want like a couple choices of different free maps. And you'll also see they have them in different languages, which OpenStreetMaps is amazing. We talked about it a bit before. So this is really a great place to find them. But you should check about the copyright and licensing and all that depending on your project. So once you're really advanced, you can like build and host your own of these kind of tile sets, but that's for a totally different day. I very rarely ever do that. So let's go through actually adding them. So the leaflet one, not a big deal. It's actually already here. We just have to provide this kind of special URL, which has these funny little things in it here. This Z, X, and Y all inside these curly brackets. And the idea here is you're telling it what zoom level, what your, and what your coordinates are. I can't remember if X is latitude and Y is longitude or what, but you're basically telling it zoom, latitude, longitude, and once it'll dynamically be fetching that so that it knows what, what tiles to grab, what images to grab to put on your map. So this is how you do it with Leaflet. Okay, cool. With MapLibra, if you wanted to add something very similar, it's actually a lot bigger. MapLibra is set up to do something a little different. It's set up to do something called the style JSON. So JSON, we didn't really go over. We mentioned it when we talked about GeoJSON. A JSON is basically a JavaScript object. That's all. And so the style is set up to be this complicated object that has lots of information in it. For instance, in here we tell it, oh, you're going to get raster tiles. Then we give it that URL that we saw from the Leaflet side of things. We tell it some attribution, just like we saw in Leaflet where we gave it attribution. And then we have to do this thing layers, and we have to add those layers. We're going to get more into like what this all means. For now, I just copy this. Just copy this into a new project. If I'm using some custom tile set or using a tile set from one of these quick start Leaflet providers, you just grab it, you paste something like this in, and you put yours in that you want to use. So for instance, let's see if the MapLibra has a custom thing here. If we look up, here, raster tile source. So right here, they have that actual example that I used. And all I did was grabbed it, and I just replaced the tiles URL and replaced the attribution with what I saw in the Leaflet provider demo. So you don't really need to totally understand what's going on, but it is more complicated than Leaflet. But just so you know, MapLibra does generally use something a little different. And like I said, it's called like a JSON thing. So this, where I put style here and just have this JSON, it's like a URL to a JSON. That JSON is going to actually be a really complicated version of what we have in the code right here. It's just a link to an object that has all this information in it so that the map knows where to fetch the tiles and that sort of stuff. So that's kind of like how MapLibra generally works, is you tell it a little URL that's going to have all this information, okay? So when you go back and look at maybe this one with the canvas source, did we see it here? Right, this API map tiler had a style JSON with a special key on it. Okay, so we're either putting a JSON, a JavaScript object, directly into this, this initializing thing, or we're linking it by putting a URL that represents that JSON. So if I do this and let's say reload the MapLibra, you'll see it will change. There, it changed the base map. So if I switch that back, undo, now we're using the full like literal JSON, then it's a different base map. So it's kind of doing the same thing. Now, just because Mapbox is different and how we use Mapbox, some of you might want to use Mapbox. I just wanted to throw it in that Mapbox, you used to be able to do this a lot more easy, but Mapbox kind of, I think they've restricted it more so that you're not, you get charged anyway if you use Mapbox with a custom tile set with one of these Leaflet provider sets. So generally you'll use Mapbox, and they have this special kind of different URL that they give you when you make a Mapbox style. So if you're not using Mapbox, you don't plan to, whatever, you can just kind of ignore this. But this just replaces the little style.json that gets called in something like MapLibra. This just gets the same thing, but gets it from Mapbox, and it's just a special way that Mapbox puts it in. So in each of these examples, we've put our own tile set in and had it load a special base map With Mapbox, we can do a lot more. We can customize it using their online tools. With MapLibra, we can do a little less. We can have these special services that load these JSONs, which tell MapLibra what to do and how to style things, so we can do a bit more customization. And then with Leaflet, we don't really have this like special JSON thing. We just pick one of these leaflet providers or like some custom place that has this zxy.png. We stick it in there and off we go. So that's about making base maps. Obviously, this episode's been a little bit long, but it's actually really quite straightforward. You just grab one, probably from the leaflet provider or from one of these Mapbox demos or MapLibra demos, and just use it. And that's your base map. So hope that helps. We'll see you in the next one.